Thank you very much. The panel, I'm very fortunate to be leading such a high-profile panel, moderating. And firstly, I wanted to introduce the members. I have got Alicia. Alicia has got 15 years of experience in the environmental sector. She is passionate about advancing global water stewardship through innovation, education, and advocacy. So she's certified water steward specialist with the Alliance for Water Stewardship. She guides organizations to reduce environmental impact through practical, nature-based, and sustainable solutions, combining science-based methods with innovation and in systematic approaches. She has been a high-profile speaker in conferences, and in recognition of her contribution, she was nominated the Boston Consulting Group V60 Award in 2023. Welcome, Alicia. We also have on the panel Alexandra Shepansky. Alexandra is the Chief Executive Officer in the Office of the Secretariat at the IMO. She applies her extensive knowledge of strategic planning, organization performance management, and governance processes. She has previously gained experience in academia and the private sector and holds degree in economics and business administration from Ludwig Maximilians University in Munich. She is instrumental in contributing the shaping of the IMO's multilateral decision-making in the maritime sector. Welcome, Alexandra. We also have in the panel LP. LP has been working for ENIA Management, Ship Management. This is also a company I served once upon a time.
Oh, really?
She is currently, though, the president of Vista International and was a past president of Vista Hellas and has been working active member of Intertanko and Secretary General of the Hellenic Short Sea Shipowners Association. LP is also has joined recently an executive board of the World Maritime University. She speaks regularly at the conferences and has been awarded the top 100 maritime influencers by the Lloyd's list, and in 2024 was named the Greek Shipping Personality of the Year at the Lloyd's list Greek Shipping Awards. And finally, we have Brigadier General Dr. Hussain, who is a distinguished military officer and an academic and election expert. He retired from Bangladesh Army. At present, Dr. Hussain is serving as an advisor to the government of Bangladesh for the Ministry of Shipping and the Ministry of Labor and Employment. Dr. Hussain holds a PhD degree in electoral governance and is a prolific publisher, has published over 40 books and 300 articles on politics. So that's that's our panel, ladies and gentlemen. So firstly, I wanted to point out that the purpose of the panel today, the theme of the panel, is capacity development for sustainable oceans. So the key was capacity development. So I want to start off with Alexandra, if that's okay, in which I wanted to ask you, we know IMO is quite been very successful in the capacity development work. May I please ask you, what challenges have IMO been facing in terms of developing capacity globally? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. And first of all, thank you all for organizing, especially UAE, for organizing this great event and for inviting me to the panel. I think when we talk about sustainable ocean management and think about it, we think a lot about technology, science, and finance. But the foundation is governance. And of course, IMO is instrumental in developing the global standards, the global framework for sustainability, the environment, marine environment. And with this, we also firsthand see the challenges that our member states, especially developing states, experience when trying to implement this global framework. And those are, of course, limited resources, human resources, financial resources, very varying access to technologies. And as we also have to acknowledge, the complexity of really implementing the global framework that we are developing into national legislation. So this is where obviously our capacity building comes in, where we try to support member states and developing states in their capacity building and being able to implement our framework. Yes.
And in that, how can you give some examples of how you have been successfully developing capacity for the audience?
Yes. So of course, this is a major priority for us in the organization, and this is also in the Secretariat one of the fastest growing sections, and especially GHG, environmental related and ocean related projects and technical cooperation activities are the fastest growing within the organization. And with regard to ocean and ocean projects, we focus a lot on climate related projects, GHG emission reduction, on pollution, be it air pollution and also marine plastic litter. And of course, also another object that also was discussed before in the section on BBNJ was a lot about biodiversity, where we work a lot on biofouling and also underwater radiated noise. And we do this through our technical cooperation projects and bigger major projects we are implementing, and they are all targeted and in providing technical assistance, advisory services, and training for our member states to enable them to build the capacity to really strengthen their maritime administrations and develop effective national legislation, and also build the institutional capacity for sustainable ocean management. And of course, we have many projects that we can mention on the GHG matters. We have Green Voyage 2050 that really works with member states to build their capacity, develop national action plans on decarbonization. And we have GHG Smart, which really focuses on small island developing states and least developed countries, focusing to build capacity for them. On specific examples on marine pollution, we have an ocean litter project that focuses on building capacity with regard to avoiding marine plastic litter. And I wanted to also bring in two examples that are related to my fellow participants. And this is our really long-lasting Women in Maritime project, where we really partner and cooperate a lot with Vista. And another very successful, I can say, project would be SenseRec. That was together with Bangladesh, where we built the capacity for ship recycling in Bangladesh and really worked towards Bangladesh being able to accede to the Hong Kong ship recycling convention.
Sure. Still sticking with you, one more question, if I may.
Yes.
How do you measure success in the IMO?
Yes.
That this project is progressing well?
Mm-hmm. This is a very important topic to really measure the effectiveness of our actions. And obviously, we have this big success stories where then you have a member state acceding to a convention. But we also gather constant feedback from participants in our training from member states to really assess the effectiveness of our technical cooperation activities. And what we have now done also with the approval of the new capacity developing strategy that is expected to be adopted by the Assembly this November, to really focus on a strong results-based approach,
Sure.
developing our activities with key performance indicators that are measurable and will really enhance our ability to measure our success. And just another very practical example is we recently launched our TC technical cooperation dashboard, which really shows data on our projects on a country level, but also on a major project level, where you can really see what we delivered to what country and performance metrics related to that.
Alexandra, thank you very much. So may I please ask Alicia about, in your field of expertise on water management, how, if you could share some examples of what's happening in terms of developing capacity, maybe with a focus on the developing maritime nations?
Sure.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me in this discussion. As I come from a water stewardship, water assurance background and environmental background, it's a really great collection of frameworks that can be easily integrated and adopted into the maritime industry. And I think that some of the challenges is maybe it's a little bit unknown of what water stewardship could entail and the benefits that it can have. But a lot of the benefits that it can have is that it really helps identify where those risks may lie,
yes,
how to respond to them, and then where those gaps might be on. And one of those would be implementation. What do we do with the data? Who do we communicate it to? And how do we resolve those issues? And so, for example, in many water stewardship, when it's implemented for a factory, it's easy. You can define your scope and your boundary, but when we're out in the open waters, it becomes a much bigger part. And there's a lot more to consider. We've got, marine ecology to consider. We have people, livelihoods. At ports, we also have communities and livelihoods. So I believe that the water stewardship is the frameworks that are available can really help identify where those challenges are, where the training needs to be, and what's going to happen with that data once you collect it.
Thank you. Thank you. And what opportunities do you see ahead with this area of expertise?
I see many opportunities. So, for example, some countries that might not have the infrastructure available to be able to cope or treat or respond to overwhelming wastewater, for example. So some countries in Kenya, they might already have poor infrastructure available to manage external waste coming in. So now the wastewater management becomes difficult in any countries that aren't developed with their wastewater as it might be. You have discharge going out into sea from that, but then also you have a lot of vessels coming in, which also you have sort of two situations to look at. So how can we work together to address those insecurities that they may have? Otherwise, it becomes sort of that effect of now it's compounding and becoming a much bigger issue.
Okay, thank you very much. LP, if I may turn to you now, in terms of your perspective on the non-governmental organizations and non-states and the partnership that might be something that you're familiar with. How are this playing a role in capacity development for sustainable oceans?
I think it's all about synergies and cooperation, because one part is the regulatory enforcement and building regulations behind it, and trying to find ways how to empower the people to have the knowledge to be able to follow what has been ruled out. And then it is the industry, which has a voice through associations, organizations, NGOs, and NGOs or other associations with concerns about the environment or the water supply. So everybody, when they come together and they share their thoughts, then we have a better understanding of each other. And I think this is very important. And this is why, and I think it was mentioned on the previous panel, why it's very important that in the IMO, the voices of the industry in general is heard. And then they can take into account what is important. And for capacity building,
Yes.
this is the next step, because what is needed, let's say, what is needed to train our seafarers for the future, for the new fuels that will come out there? What do we need to support the Hong Kong Convention on ship wrecking? Recycling.
Yes.
I said the bad word when it comes to me. But so what do we need to train people to work in a safer way, improve the conditions? So I think all this conversation is why it is important to bring all views together.
Thank you. And this collaboration between NGO and non-state partners together with the IMO, do you see it is challenging? Do you see more scope in this sphere?
I'm not into this for many years, but in these few years that I'm involved, I've seen a lot of progress, I have to say. For me, in the beginning, it was a bit vague. What were the programs about? What were they supporting? How is it measurable? A new thing that came out, because it's good to have events and, let's say about women and empower them and talk to them. What are their possibilities in biofouling, in ship recycling? But at the end of the day, does it have any impact? So it is very, very good to see that we're progressing now to have targeted results. If not, what do we have to change to make it work?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Turning to Dr. Hossain, if I may please. So in terms of the collaboration that is required beyond borders, and how can regional partnerships and international support mechanisms help countries like like Bangladesh accelerate capacity development for sustainable ocean use?
Thank you very much. And thank the authority of Dubai for inviting me here. It has been a pleasure to be here when the Secretary General IMO sitting in front of me. Let me first tell you what Bangladesh is. Maybe many think that it is only the oceanic front. It's not exactly. We have over 7,000 kilometer inland waterways, and then the which carries the water into the sea, which is Bay of Bengal, mainly to Bangladesh, and then leads to Indian Ocean. Therefore, when we talk about Bangladesh maritime issues, then we just cannot separate between the ocean
Sure.
and the inland waterways. Some of the inland waterways is as wide or as big, it looks like ocean. And particularly in the coastal area, we have to have a different kind of vessel. All vessels can apply in coastal area. Therefore, when I talk about the events of ocean, then I would include also the coastal area and not relegating the inland waterways. Because that's mainstay of our marine life. So therefore, when you talk about cooperation, the first cooperation that we are with is the IMO, that we have already signed about 25 of the protocols of the IMO out of 50, I believe. And some are not even applicable to all the countries. So therefore, that's one issue. And we are getting all the supports from IMO. And we are a member of the category C of the IMO. And I'm trying to recontest again this year on the same category. Therefore, we have that kind of responsibility, not only with the IMO, we have a regional cooperation as well. Like we have a protocol with Sri Lanka, we have a protocol with Far Eastern countries, we have a protocol with India of using the port and as well as inland waterways. Then, of course, there's the exchange of academics between India. We have BIMSTEC now, where Thailand and Sri Lanka, Myanmar, all involved in this. So recently we have signed a protocol with them for kind of a training. Let me tell you another thing, that cooperation. When you talk about cooperation, our marine academies are open for the other countries to send their cadets. Already IMO had asked us, and we have offered 10 such seats to the seat countries.
Mm.
And of course, apart from regional cooperation, we definitely have a much more cooperation with the European and others as well, because you have to abide by some of the changes that are taking place in all over the world.
Sure.
If you're talking about cooperation, that's what it is. No, also within the academics, within the main academies itself.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will now move to more, having heard the direct kind of capacity building stories from all our panel members, I want to now look at some of the proxy indicators or supportive features that contribute to capacity development. So if I may start with LP, in terms of, in this context of capacity development, we know diversity, inclusion, diversity are very key features, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you as to why is it important to promote inclusivity and diversity to build capacity?
Okay, so why is it important to promote diversity to build capacity? Or why, I mean, it can be the other way around. Why is it important to build capacity in order to promote diversity? So, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
It is very important. I mean, the challenges we face ahead are huge, and we want all great minds to be involved in this. So excluding half of the population of the world, it's just doesn't make sense. And we know that universities have many women now there, so the education is the same. So why to have barriers, or what are the barriers, and how can we overpass that? So by training, we believe these women, we can enable them to overcome the obstacles they are facing and go ahead into the industry and be in senior roles. And we see many examples of that happening by empowering them. And why building capacity is important to be inclusive, because again, you have different opinions of what is important. What are the skills we need for the future? If you have, again, like half of the population creating these capacity building programs or training programs, they might be limited. They might not be inclusive. And again, inclusivity is not just about women. It is about people from different ethnicities, different backgrounds. And we in shipping, I think we're very inclusive in that. And we have make it work. So let's try to be a bit more inclusive in other parts as well. And I think you want to ask about examples, because I know you like examples. It is, we've seen through WISTA and my role in WISTA and many years in many countries, by the programs we have, training programs we have, or sponsorships we give to universities, to women that are our members or to women that are not our members. We see this has helped many women progress in their careers and advancing their skills. And this has gone further. I don't know what you want to ask me. Ask me.
No. I mean, there is a lot. I do want to ask you the question, which is, in your experience as WISTA chair, do you see that women actually lead differently than men?
I think people are people. We cannot say a person is different, because, at least for me, I'm sorry if I offend anybody out there, but I think people are people, and the skills we learn are what makes us. And of course, the experiences we have in life. So maybe through experiences, women might lead differently to men. But I think if we apply the proper education to everybody, then we will have just skilled people who can lead, because leadership is something that you can learn. It's not something that you are born with. It is the challenges you face in life, the support you might have. So I think it should be at least the same for everybody. And I know people say that women have more empathy or more understanding, men are stronger. There are so many stereotypes out there, but it's mostly the way we've grown, the stereotypes that are in us. If we want to get out of that and see the bigger picture, which is not easy, even for me, from this point where I am, I do follow the stereotypes I was born with many times. And that's why we say capacity building is very important, and teaching skills to everybody is very important.
Thank you. Just on that, in terms of the capacity building from a diversity inclusion point of view, Alex, if I may quickly ask you, in terms of whether it's women or men, in terms of leadership positions, so how do you say that a good leadership initiative leads to better capacity building?
Yes, obviously, leadership on all levels is important, because effective and a successful leadership really sets the vision. It really is able to mobilize resources, an important part of capacity building and the success of capacity building, and really also inspires collective action. So I think we can see leadership, and quite strong leadership at IMO level, where we had member states making very important decisions on the framework, in it, the revised GHG strategy, biofouling guidelines, marine plastics litter strategy, and so on. And we see strong leadership among all our member states by implementing those frameworks in national legislation and able to implement and enforce them. And we see strong leadership also supporting capacity building in a way with the private sector, as we see in the exhibition downstairs, that really shows strong leadership and innovation and new projects and ideas that show that we really can implement these ambitious frameworks. So all of those in turn then really enable us to also show leadership and show our capacity building to be really successful. And I think also going back to the diversity and inclusion, obviously having a diverse and inclusive leadership, including women, is really important to have everyone at the table to be able to lead with this.
Thank you. Another indicator for capacity building has been the use of technology. So if I may ask Alicia, in terms of how in your area of water stewardship, how do you see the role of technology coming and playing, or digitalization, in terms of building capacity, please?
There's definitely a lot of opportunities. So if we go back to the water stewardship framework, there's a few of them out there. This is we've mentioned the SMART targets, right? So within water stewardship, something that's specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and time bound, because we know the environment's changing all the time. Conditions are always changing. But what can we do now? What solutions are available now? And there's many that will help us achieve this target that we need to set, whatever it might be. So for example, there's a number of sensor devices that can help determine when things are released, or sensor when there's something leaking, for example. And that's an application that we might use in a building, but it's something that can also be transferred over into other areas, such as vessels where there's potential for leaks, for example, or for quality monitoring. So it can do automatic water monitoring and quality checks to see the parameters of that water before it's either discharged or maybe there's opportunities for it to be reused. So there is quite a lot already out there that we can look for that is being adopted by other industries and sectors and say, how can we use this to improve? And I know it goes back to other points on water stewardship, but that's where I think it could be a part of the piece bringing everything together in terms of capacity building, because it's not just about is it being implemented, but it's about is it effective? Are the implementation of this being effective? What are we getting from it? Are we getting what we need, and what are we going to do with it? And who are we going to communicate with, or who do we need to communicate with to make sure that we're collaborating for that collective action? Because it's this whole one shared resource of our seas. We all have a responsibility, and I know this was mentioned earlier, but it's true. We all have a piece to play within that, whether it's offshore activities or onshore activities. There's moving components all the time. So that water stewardship really does help us identify who needs to be engaged with what, and what sort of solutions exist, and how can we implement them, but how can we also verify that it's working and it's effective?
Thank you very much, Alicia. I wanted to stick to these initiatives, as you mentioned, and possibly ask you about what can we or what should we expect from the shipping companies in terms of adopting initiatives for capacity building. I know capacity building is often seen as a state or an interstate activity, but individual shipping companies, possibly leading shipping companies, what in your eyes have been happening in terms of capacity building for sustainable oceans from their point of view? Do you want to start, Hilton?
I can, yes.
Thank you.
First of all, I think it's in the interest of the shipping companies to invest in capacity building of their staff, of training, or to work together with training centers to educate whoever is around them. For, as I said, the challenges are many. The decarbonization challenges, it's a future that is still a bit unknown, what kind of fuels we will use. The technology is changing on board the vessels. The skills that are required by seafarers, especially that are in remote places, are changing. So, of course, shipping companies, and I think they do, at least the ones that are prudent, do spend time and money in that. Now, in a bigger sense, I know, I mean, again, cooperation with organizations that bring them together, let's say like BIMCO, Intertanko, ICS, who are the ones responsible for the ship owners. I think they do also invest in programs, training programs that do support the capacity building of their staff.
Thank you. Yes. Alexandra, do you want to add anything to this point, the shipping companies' initiative for capacity building?
Of course, they really can utilize new technologies, especially those leading, they can invest in technology development and support the work in that. And I think a big part of our work is really also working with industry, is working with the private sector to get them all together, and in the capacity building activities also really work towards technology transfer, being able to for developing countries to implement and work with those technologies. And a big move in our projects is also to work on pilot projects and really show solutions that are also sometimes cost effective and can be implemented.
Can I add something?
Sure.
I just thought of the Maritime Just in Transition program of the UN, which is capacity building for new technologies. And being in that panel, and the IMO is part of it, I see that the ITF is part of it, the ICS is part of it, and private companies are as well part of it. So it is a great example of all of the industry coming together for capacity building.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to now, I've kind of left the training and education thing for the last, possibly that's a very emotive topic. or maybe because I am an educationist. I do want to point out that that the seafarers, when we talk about training, seafarers come to our mind first, but also training is for beyond the seafarers. Seafarers still remains challenging. Seafaring is, although we know the accident numbers and the pollution incidents and total losses are coming down, but we know also from research that seafaring is becoming more stressful. From the feedback from the seafarers themselves, there are more possibly suicide incidents from seafarers, as well as the transition workload into the new fuel. They are beginning to feel the heat and the responsibility that's thrusted upon them. So surely this is a point that we need to reflect on, to understand how are we supporting the seafarers, how are we making sure that they're trained at a time when we're moving to like different forms of fuel, whether it's ammonia or methanol and such. So if I may start with Dr. Hussain, in terms of the training, in terms of keeping in mind that the purpose of this conversation is capacity building, how do you see from your experience that training and education for the seafarers and maybe beyond just the seafarers is valuable? How is it working in your eyes?
Yes, definitely. Every training is very valuable, but particularly when you are in transition from one system to going into another system. Let me just reiterate one thing that we in Bangladesh, we have 5 marine academy, which is run by the government, and there are 9 marine academy, which is private. And we have this year, if my data is not wrong, we have 45 women cadets in the Marine Academy, Prime Marine Academy, and we have probably 150 to 200 women cadets already passed out, and they are serving in various countries. I'm talking about the seafarers. So first of all, that you have to start with the academics first, where you have all kind of simulator. We're buying some new simulator, which will definitely talk about the dual fuel. Not only that, you'll be probably the first time in Bangladesh, we're buying 2 new ships for our state carrier, where we are buying 2 ships are engine with dual fuel. That means it can be operated in the gas, it can be operated over any other thing. What in capacity building would be, our majority ocean-going ships are the private sector. And they are becoming old, so they have to be replaced. And they all probably would be very, would give that kind of incentive. We had 7% VAT on buying new ships. So this VAT has been already withdrawn. So that will give a big boost to the private sector. And the private sector has been told already, they know about the IMO conditions. So as we have bought 2 of the ships which will be dual fuel, they have to also probably follow the suit. So in presently, if I may very candidly say that our private organizations are not that aware of the whole thing, though we don't have that kind of a academic parlay in various universities, except that there's a marine university, which is run by the Bangladesh Navy. So they are very much oriented with the capacity building of that. The big thing that I would like to talk is that our seafarer.
Sure.
The seafarers are definitely, they are aware of it. For example, we have sent over 150 manpower to these new ships. So they are going to learn within that capacity as they have to, steer it. So I would believe that this will give us a big boost in training some people, and then they will be becoming the trainers in academics. And that is, I think, is a big opening for us. We are going to buy 3 more ships, the same capacity and same engine. So we are almost getting ready to convert into any kind of fuel that would come in. It could be gas, it could be LNG, It could be any other methanol fuel. So we are quite aware, because one thing is very important for us. We need a clean sea, we need a clean river, we need clean coast, because we are dependent on the marine resources, particularly the fish. And because of this pollution, we're already facing that there are a lot of species of fish is no more there. Therefore, everybody is aware. It's not only inland waterways, the coast, and as well as the sea, as far as we are concerned. We are also in one of the port. I'll be opening very soon. One of the port is I have the plant for cleaning the river and cleaning the coastal area with all those the plastics and all the other things. So we are Bangladesh. We are quite aware, and we are very sensitive to this. We also know that we are one of the largest ship recycling yards, and most of them, 17 of them, have become already green, and many of them coming. And I've told them, if you cannot by end of this year be compliant, then you better close down. And they will close down, or they will merge. So that sector is also pretty aware, because they know the IMO rules and the UN conventions. We are very much active in this capacity building. Though I would admit that it's slow, but we would seek assistance from UN, we would seek assistance from IOM, and we will also seek assistance from any other expert organization, so that we can increase our capacity.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for examples from Bangladesh. I want to ask the other panel members similar questions in terms of there is light, we can see each other better. Are we, I'm particularly sensitive towards seafarers. Yeah. If I may ask Alexandra, are we doing enough to keep supporting them? Are we doing enough to make sure that all the issues that have been picked up on research time and again about their health and safety on board ships, occupational health issues in particular, are we doing enough in terms of supporting them? Because at the end of the day, no matter who else what does, at the end of the day, they are the doers. Are we doing enough to support them in the eyes of the IMO?
So obviously, taking into account the changing environment, the transition that will be going on, there is a big initiative to really enhance also seafarer training. So we are really focusing on providing training for alternative fuels. And in this regard, also, it has been agreed to revise our convention on training, certification, and watchkeeping, which will have a big impact to really update it to the changing conditions that seafarers will experience. There's also a lot of work going on health, well-being of seafarers. So I think we're stepping up our efforts to really be able to address the changing environment. And I think also going on a higher level, thinking about the big changes that will be coming, I think going back to education and adapting the curriculum to really be able to educate the future maritime personnel will be a very important part ongoing. And I think to highlight here also the work of our global training institutions, the World Maritime University and the International Maritime Law Institute, that really provide up-to-date education and training for maritime personnel. It's really important to address this changing environment.
Sure. We heard World Maritime University. Do you want to come in, LP, say something about it?
I can talk about the university, but first I want to talk about the seafarers.
Sure.
Because they are the backbone of our industry. And I think India, and you come from India, and Greece is a very good example for that. With the seafarers that we had many years ago, we have built the shipping industry that we are today. And I've seen that miracle happening in India as well. So it is not only that they are the ones handling the vessels, which this is why we are all here for, and the vessels are the ones that might be polluting, as we say, let's say the oceans. How can we fix it? But all the discussions is around the vessels, or whatever we do. So the seafarers are the ones. And how do we change the day life for them? How do we make sure that they are safe, that they are healthy? And I've seen discussions, and they're lengthy discussions. They take years, again, and the results are there, but not as fast as we would like. It's not to blame anyone. I know, I've learned that. It's not the IMO's fault. It is the member states' fault because they are not making decisions so fast. For me, it was shocking. I need to elaborate on that because I was once in a room that everybody agreed that we need to have health measures or to take into account the psychological condition of the seafarers and how we can improve their life. And at the end, everybody was agreeing. And at the end of the day, nobody voted for it. Sorry, I mean, I'm always frank. I say that, but how will we make steps when the changes on the MLC were just 11, if I'm not correct? 11. And there were proposals for so many others. And all of that is because it takes time. And they will be implemented in years to come. If we don't make rules that are obligatory, then we just know that the ones who will follow are the shipping companies that are already taking care of the seafarers. How will we make it, we'll enforce it to the ones who don't really care? How will we make sure that we attract people in this industry? The younger generation has a different mindset that we have. They need to be sure that it is a safe and environment, a place that thinks of the environment and the future, the ocean sustainability, the future of our children. All these have to be taken into account. So training, yes, but also thinking of the seafarers. And as you said, World Maritime University, and I'm very happy and I appreciate that I've been given this chance to play a small role in the education of the future. And one great example, and it is related to WISTA and World Maritime University and the IMO, is the new leadership program for women that is run by the World Maritime University. And how important that is as well in capacity building for women seafarers, from women on shore. So yes, education, capacity building, and the future of our seafarers.
Thank you very much, Indira. You covered a very wide range of topics I was thinking of getting into. So I think that really is the core question that we wanted to get answered from the panel today. But I do want to go back to each one of you one more time and want to hear from you that how can we still do better? And we have to be self-critical. We have to understand that this is an ever-changing scenario. We are having new technology coming in. We are having to deal with newer problems, both at the local level. Our understanding of the environment is getting better. The geopolitical scene is also adding more pressure to the seafaring and the sector as a whole. I just wanted to ask you, in terms of capacity building, in your eyes, what steps would you take in 2 minutes, please, each one of you, if you could take, just get into the detail of it. From Mr. Dr. Hussain.
Well, thank you very much once again. I think it won't be very easy to jump into one end to another end. It has to take time, particularly a country like ours. As I said, it's a very huge maritime world. Because of why I said it's not only the seafarer dealing with international waters, but it has to be also the inland waters who are feeding the ports. Therefore, we have started, but it's very slow, I would say. I'll admit very slow. And as I said, we've just started getting the ships, new ships. The other the biggest problem is that we need more of inter-cooperation, like World Maritime Academy giving a chance to a country like ours, where we have a maritime academy, exchange of views. Sometimes, we get to invite them and they come and let us know what's all happening, particularly to our seafarers, because they have to make the change. I mean, at policy level, we might say yes by so and so time, but then we have to also prepare these people, particularly the young people. So I believe that future seafarers need to be inculcate that what changes they are taking place all around the world and how they should cope up with that. And there, I think we'll be needing help from the international academy, the international academia, and also all other things. So therefore, isolation, I don't think we can really get into there unless there's a bigger cooperation.
Cooperation is the word. Thank you, Hussein. LP, you 2 minutes.
I'm thinking, I think that we should start all our capacity building by teaching respect. Respect for, and I read out there, our oceans. Respect to our people, respect to each other's, respect to other opinions. And then we can build on from that. And we can build for a better future for everybody, for cleaner seas, for safe transport, for safety for seafarers, for a good environment for all of us.
Respect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alicia?
So what I believe in the 2 minutes I have is just similar to what you said, but to realize how interconnected it all is. And if everyone understands their parts and how that contributes to the bigger picture, then I think that will allow people to understand holistically that all that interconnectedness has benefits when done correctly. So it's not just about some doing best practice and being amazing and some just in compliance. It's about how can everyone keep raising the bar and finding ways to improve, and then realizing the benefits that it has cascading down to the communities, to the industry, to everything that we do. So I think it's about, really understanding the greater benefits when we all do our part and we exceed, the standards, because that's what we want to do, is improve all the time.
Thank you, Alicia. Let's start with you. Want to end with you, Alexandra?
Yes, thank you. For us, I think from IMO's perspective, the future is really listening to the needs of our member states, the developing countries, least developed countries, and small island development states, really listening what their needs are and really tailor and adapt our technical cooperation activities to them, to really take everyone on board in the transition and moving towards, sustainability and sustainable oceans. So.
Thank you. So, from the panel, we heard about collaboration. We heard about respect. We heard about, I guess, what I call it as a sum is better than the individual parts, and finally, the industry-wide collaboration. So, I just want to thank you all. Thanks to the panel, and I hope audience had a good time, and it was an enjoyable session for you all. Thank you very much indeed.